topic. I hope it helps all of you. For me, it helps, of course. I just realized that I was
I think Avoy's not in. Is Avoy at home or something? Oh, hang on, I'll just message him.
Yeah, please maybe message him. I forgot what I have presentations. Yes. So. Wondering where it's better to put X code. Okay. So. Everybody's here and can see stuff.
Yeah, hopefully Avoy is going to join, but I suggest you just start.
That's very sad, but okay. I'll be eating a candy that's to prevent me to stop coughing. That's my doctor said. So, yeah. Introduction to Mitm proxy. This session I will tell you a brief introduction to what is Mitm proxy is. The spoiler, it is an alternative to Charles, a little bit more flexible. And also basically, let's use its flexibility and see how we could use it for mocking server responses with Bombe, the tool that's developed by Itzek. And welcome.
Apologies for
and how we could simplify your debugging GA tracking with the GOG tool, which I developed while basically playing around with flexibility of Mitm. So why Mitm proxy? The main cool advantage, it is scriptable via Python language. And so you could do like much more advanced stuff than just GUI stuff with Charles, for example. And it basically has command line, textual, and web interfaces. So it also covers the all layers of geekiness of you. And it is free and open source. So this is just the hand for me. So we will see these topics right now. So here you see in the terminal, I will show you the terminal, but basically it similar works in a web, which looks better but uses even the same hotkeys. What you see is the list of requests sent to the server, which are in Mitm called flow. Like anything we could see, it generates many of them for a Hangout session, so I will probably clear them right now. If my machine will not hang, because basically this presentation goes via Hangouts also through the Mitm proxy. It might be slower. And I want to see some events here, like we go to navigation.
Can't you just filter out and just filter the Zalando stuff like we do?
Thank you, dude. You see, it is the second point of my presentation. Okay. So that's called filter. Obviously, we see many events, and since I cleared, it's already 41 requests. What you could do is basically filter them by host, by various really different conditions, but we will use just the simplest one. We will just filter and type zalando.de, right? And now what we'll see are every request to zalando.de. It could be even in the browser because I wrote everything from my MacBook here. So now if I go to like all addresses, we see the requests like events. And we probably send something to Nakadi catalog and search requests, and we could basically go in any, like, let's see, the search request. And this is basically the flow viewer. We could see the request response in detail, tabs on top, and then request shows the headers on top and the query parameters at the bottom. And then we switch to response. It also shows the headers on the top and the response body at the bottom, which is very nice and cool, right? And the detail giving you other like details which I never check. So I will check my hint. So okay, so next is marking. It could be that we have like many different requests and we don't want to get lost them. So you basically navigate with up and down and just hit M letter to mark them. You can see they're marked with the red letter M.
Can you switch the colors?
Probably not. it's unfortunate.
Why you want to switch the colors?
Because it's very sunny here. Yeah. So as you, okay. Google Hangouts is fantastic. Anyway, it is highlighted with the red M letter. And then if you hit like Shift M, then it will show you only this marked flows for you. By the way, anytime in the app you could hit the question mark to see the key bindings for this view and the global key bindings. So it is very easy to learn them. It's kind of, the learning curve is a little bit steep, but it is very cool and handy. So today I will show you how cool it is, and the next time I will probably schedule workshops with one or two of you personally to get it working on your machine so that you can enjoy. So basically this is, so far it looks like ugly version of the charts. But let's go for some cool stuff. For example, let's do one thing that basically happened to me in production. If you go home and we've had this bug, whoop, we don't have here the recommendations. And if you go to Mitm and check here, we see the request is in red. In red it says the error code, it's 500. You see the others have a green nice 200. And this Rico request has 500 response. So we click on it, and we go to response, and we see it says like internal server error. It gives that for the combination of location, Rico types, and config, there is no such basically.
I know this error well.
Yeah. So after talking to Oskari, he said that we are sending integer value for Rico context instead of the constant. And if you go back to the request, we could see here that the Rico context is equal 4, which is, but should be expected something else. So if we go to the Xcode and we see basically the NS enum for recommendation app context, I hope I can zoom. And it basically 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it says app context home. And if we see here for home, there is the app underscore home. So the cool thing, I could try to fix it and then rebuild and then rerun. By the way, don't forget to clear cache and see like if it works or not. But we could basically continue working on this request and edit it by hitting the E letter, which you can also find in the help. And it offers us to edit cookies, form path, method, query, and stuff. You could navigate here via arrows or just hit 5. And here you in the query editor, basically it has all of the query parameters. We go to Rico context and put the app home, which we just found out from the source code. Right? Then I quit the editor, and now I hit the R letter to replay the request. And as you can see, it returned us a 200 error, which is okay, which is cool. And if you see the response, it basically has the collection customer base recommendations, and it has real articles. So now that I've confirmed that that was the wrong parameter and the value that I've put seems to be right, now I can go in the source code and find the place where we are actually sending the wrong value and see if it basically was the problem. So like after some investigation and talking to different team members, it appears that I found the place, which is here, and if you go to blame, it says, no, okay, yeah, because I already fixed it, but if we go to the definition of it somewhere else, the raw string method here, it says that basically it was raw value before, but it was the tricky because it's integer in enum and Objective-C and string raw value in Swift, which was somehow working prior to Swift 4. But in Swift 4, Swift 4.2, they say it's no longer possible. So BJ was doing the transition, and he renamed this method, fixed everywhere but missed one point, which is fine. But now we see that all we need basically is to instead of raw value, use raw string method here when we generated the parameter, and that's it. So if we rebuild, yeah, the modern Xcode takes a long time. So yeah, and this is very cool. How quick and easy without rebuilding and waiting very long for the Xcode. We could basically replay request and play around with parameters to find out the working combination. Yeah, build succeeded. Now it waits for some random period of time to basically launch the app.
But that could be 10 minutes, right?
No, it's usually below 9 minutes. So
less than 9 minutes.
Yes.
Hopefully.
But
No.
I guess you can also intercept and change the value, right? From just
Of course,
okay.
that's the next part.
Okay.
But like the thing is to intercept, and you will have to request this on home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's cached, that it will not request. So like the cool thing that once you already captured the request, you could do it. And even more, it's out of the scope of this presentation. You can basically save this entire flow into the file. You can edit it and replay. So there was even an article where the dude was having like traveling often on some airport, and he had to fill in this form all the time, like I agree, like his name and like something. So he just did it once, captured it, saved it, and every time he just from command line said like Mitm proxy replay and gave this flow. So it was already sending all of the HTTP requests as if he was filling the form every time to get this free Wi-Fi in the airport. So basically it is like super flexible, and yeah, I'm just showing the interactive part, but you could basically save this and manipulate or play whatever. But the cool thing is like it is much faster than recompiling. Okay, now the tada moment. Sorry, I will even do it like this. We will filter by Rico, JSON. So we see this is the 15-hour bad response, and this was never asked because probably I wanted to clear cache. Let's go here, clear cache, scroll to the bottom. Holy shit. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's scroll to the next Rico. Maybe next Rico will work. Okay, the next Rico worked. I don't know why this Rico didn't work. I will reload home again.
You might there's a debug switch which is disable caches. If you go to the debug menu, which I added ages ago.
Could be, whatever. So now every carousel is loaded, and we see 2 successful Rico requests. Some breakpoint, okay. That's probably out of scope for our app right now. But yeah, so as you can see, all of the Ricos are now loading because right now if you go here, we say in the correct Rico context app home value. So again, to recap, that was the basic of the Mitm, what we learned to see the list of flows, mark the one we need to highlight, view their content and edit and replay them. So you could basically debug without using the app. So coming back here, there is one thing to note. Of course, I don't want to send all of my traffic all the time through the Mitm proxy because basically I don't need it. I only do it when I debug, and of course you have to do to the settings app, to go to network, go to advanced, and then fill in this proxy and stuff. It's very unhandy. The cool Charles was doing this for you automatically. For that it was asking your root password just in case. But it not necessarily needed because the cool thing that macOS has this thing called locations, and it has a default location called automatic, which just has your all interfaces. What you could do, you could tap edit locations, click on it, say duplicate location, and then switch to it. It will be exactly the same. I called it Mitm enabled, but for Mitm enabled, I went here and added the proxies. So like if I switch to location automatic, it will be my normal machine. If I switch it to Mitm enable, it will forward everything to localhost to the specified port. And the cool thing that this thing lives here in the Apple menu, just location. So you could switch it very quickly. One thing, it will disconnect your Wi-Fi and connect for like 5 seconds, which is annoying, and that's why I'm not demonstrating it, because we will lose our 2 Jonathan copies and our Helsinki friends. But yeah, this is how it works with locations. That's basic. You have any fantastic questions or?
Do we have to install any certificates or something in simulator devices?
Yes, this part is the same as for
Charles.
For Charles, basically what you do, the cool thing, how much it is cooler versus Charles, it has much shorter address. It's called mitm.it. It's not Charles proxy get SSL, it's like really 3 times shorter, and then you follow the same procedure. You just click, you download the certificate, install, the same on iPhone, and you also have to trust it with all of those annoying things. But once you're set up, it's like from that point, it's exactly the same as for Charles, but more flexible. So let's go back and speak about flexibility. Maybe you saw it now. So the bombe, or bomb, I don't know how to pronounce it. What is bomb? Bomb is an electromechanical device used by British cryptologists to help decipher German Enigma machine encrypted secret messages during World War II. It was created by Alan Turing, and this quote is from Wikipedia. The bombe looked like this. Not the lady herself, but the entire machine. The lady is not included. And but in our context, the bombe addon.py is a script to override response body and code depending on the requested URL by Itzhak Brown. Basically, he wrote this add-on to Mitm so that we can basically override responses or use mock. And the cool thing, if we compare to Charles, in Charles you could also use that, but then you have to open the UI, click here, put the pattern here. So there was no way to save it to file and share it to Kate, and I just had to send her screenshots how to do it. So Bombe in Zalando app is used by Andrii team to mock responses, and Andrii team has a nice Git repo to share mocks. So basically they already contribute there, and often if you need to mock something, you just basically use because it's already there. And that's cool because sharing is also standardized and centralized. You just put the data here, and since then anyone in Android and iOS can use that. So basically iOS team is welcome to join the party and contribute and benefit together. So Bombe intro. So there is a repository called Zalando Mitm, and for there are like many configurations to mock, for example, like beauty or something else, and each one has a config file which lists the regex patterns of URLs to replace, and basically has the body of the response. So let's go to that. So recently we've been developing a feature called MOV, which is minimum order value. Basically the idea is you go to any PDP, and here it should show you some additional shipping information. Let's start with the mocking part. So this is my button which opens the deep link with the PDP with MOV. And to have that we have one special SKU. It's made by someone, and of course it's not available in real market. But in Mitm, I already ran it with its script integrated, so I just hit the equal key, and here it gives me the list of mocks which we could use, and we will use the beauty version, which is here.
Nice.
Yes.
So you make the request first, and then you say in the future override.
No. I'm just showing that it doesn't work, and now if you try to go to PDP with MOV again, it will basically show you that this entire PDP is mocked. It has product description, ingredients and stuff, and the cool thing. So wow, so many bugs. Oh, it's very funny. All the bugs only show up when I demonstrate something. Okay.
Demo disease.
Yes, I will probably recompile app and meanwhile, or relaunch. Where's my Xcode? I hope it will work. Yeah. So how it looks like? Basically, it is a folder. Basically, for each of those items, there is a folder, and in the top folder, it has config.json, which is very simple because it has base URL. You can see it's just the regex for like anything API mobile v3, and then it has the list of different mocks. So for URL like article, this particular SKU that I'll be using, or this particular address, we will have the in the folder subfolder beauty mocks. We will have the PDP beauty article JSON, and we will return code 200. So you can refer to the Bombe documentation for more options, or to Itzhak directly. So the nice thing that basically to quickly mock something new that I've got just requirements copied from Confluence, we could just reuse even existing beauty PDP and put our data there. So if you open the PDP beauty article JSON, I will just zoom out a little bit. It's just a full-fledged response that we want to have. And basically here is the piece of file from the Confluence, which just has the required information. It's delivery info object, which has like delivery options with standard, express, and returns, and whatever as it's specified. So basically I copied this into the end of our beauty response. Now it has this thing, I save. And yeah, that's it. So then I come back here, I want to clear cache. And if I go to PDP with move again, I see the delivery options. Of course, I've already developed this, but I did exactly the same before developing, so I got this as a part of the response, and then I was able to make it. So it is pretty much the same as in Charles, but the cool thing that right now I have this file in the my repository. I can basically commit it, like edit, move information to PDP Beauty article, and then anyone here on the Andrii team basically can benefit from now having this delivery information as well. So they just pull and they have it whenever they select here to mock the beauty. And that's the beauty of this thing. Yeah, I hope you have no more questions, or I hope you have even more questions after this session.
So can you go into the debug menu and find this disable HTTP cache thing? Because I think this will be helpful if you're doing stuff like this. I put it in a while ago. If you search for HTTP, might be quick with HTTP. Yeah, there's HTTP cache enabled. If you turn that off, I think you have to restart the app. You'll never use the HTTP cache.
Okay, I will use this next time, but I don't want to change the plot of my presentation.
Sure, that's also for other people's information.
Yeah,
so
but thank you very much, cool. Like the thing is that for some, usually for most responses, the Mitm, when it's enabled, it disables caching, so it kinda every time will query, but sometimes it is still cached, so your advice will be, of course, helpful. So right now, the thing is, I'm running all of my queries. Remember, if I remove the filter, we're just having everything through Mitm. So what I will try to do, because I was a little bit quick, I didn't find a way to run both scripts exec and mine at the same time, so I will have to kill Mitm and switch to another copy of Mitm. But yeah, I will basically run in another window. I will just run Mitm proxy minus s gok pi. So if in case you miss, remove guys, but I will reconnect quickly. Whoop. Okay, you probably see me now. I'm live again. Are you? Cool. So basically, yeah, I will just put filter to not see all of this stuff, like to filter only analytics messages. So coming back to the presentation, the next thing is gawk. What is gawk? According to the dictionary, is to stare openly and stupidly. So example, they were gawking at some pinup. So basically, that's what I do when I copy paste the output from chars, when I do tracking events, and then I see the batch response. I'm like literally gawking at this stuff, trying to figure out what is that. Then I use search to find CD, and then it appears like CD is like CD for the category, and also like CD for every custom dimension, which is like even more confusing. And wow. So by just doing, it happened that I was just learning Mitm and also doing some tracking tickets, and I decided to basically speed up a little bit pain in the ass. I mean, not speed up the pain in the ass, but speed up my development process and remove the pain in the ass. So for me, gawk is Google Analytics Watchers Kit. Fancy name, but yeah. So what is that? Basically, it is very, very little Python script, which literally does saves whatever you send to Google Analytics server. And there are two cases. One case is the batch, when it just builds this kind of each query parameters stacked into each line. So basically, I throw them at the file. This is the post request, and also they have a get request if it's not batch but only one request. So those two cases I catch and just simply stupidly store to the text file. And that's the gawk add-on Python script for Mitm, which you just load as you've seen, like Mitm proxy minus sgawk.py. And there's another part called gawk.sh, which basically just reads this file, filters out the parameters that we need, and paints them a little bit with colors so that you could see them. So if I run them, you could see that in a blue color it gives the parameter sent to Google Analytics, and the white color is its value. So now if I go whatever somewhere, it will track the screen view, search categories, event, search categories, navigation, click open, and event label, category 3, woman category. So basically it's just the tracking. And the cool thing that in our app debug menu, at the very bottom, I changed the Google Analytics dispatch interval to 1 second. That's why it looks like it as if it's working real time. So the cool thing, basically it shows you all the stuff you want. Of course, in your ticket you might want to have to see some specific parameter, not only this. It's very easy. You just kill the script, and basically you can list your own parameters as you want, like TCD, ECA. I've added CD89 at the end, which will contain the SKU of the interacted item if it is there. And you can even see it already replaced 10 of the latest events. And it shows the CD89 with the SKU of the item. So basically this is it. This is super easy, super mini tiny tool which basically helps you to see if your events are tracked properly or if it's duplicated or something like that. And even more, because this is the standard Unix stuff and it's also super scriptable, you could, for example, filter by basically pipe it to grep and like screen view, for example, and you will see only screen view events. So we don't want to see all other events. So because it is so primitive and because we're living in the Unix world, it's super flexible. And the implementation is very simple. We use the tail -f to have this filter, and then we feed to very primitive, basically filtering routines. So that was Google Analytics Watcher Kit. What's next? What I'm tinkering a little bit during my tour of mastery is making automated tracking regression by utilizing Google Analytics snapshot tests based on the approach I used in GOG with UI tests. So basically you run the UI tests, you have the whole history of events happen, saved to file, and then it compares to the reference file. And yeah, so we will never have to retest tracking separately again for some cases, and maybe the even farther event to have the same for Nakadi, but I will start with Google Analytics. Thank you very much.
This is awesome.
Nice.